Hey guys, in the last year I focused on keyboards that were smaller, mostly in depth and width, but what about the ones that are thin? We've seen a few models here and there, but not so many from the big brands, until now. So today we'll take a look at the SK650 by Cooler Master, which they generously sent over for this review. So without waiting any further, let's see what it's all about. The packaging is really great. Under the printed cardboard hides an all black box, and you'll find the keyboard in the protective sleeve, as well as the accessories, which are a braided Type-C cable and a keycap puller. Physically, this keyboard is really pleasing. It has a nice brushed aluminum plate and all the keys sit flush. They also have a pretty nice RGB backlight. The frame is clean and simple, pretty thin as well compared to normal mechanical keyboards, and there's also a thin translucent line all around the case, and there are dedicated LEDs there as well. That's pretty neat. I like the fact that it uses a Type-C connector, and although some have complained that the hole was a bit too narrow for most cables, I didn't have any problem using a cable from another keyboard I already had. Finally, the keyboard doesn't have any flip-out feet, so if you want it at an angle, that won't be possible. That's a bit unfortunate as the keycaps profile are the same across the rows and the base angle is pretty flat, so the final angle of the board is not really high, and that could be a bit harder to get used to for someone coming from a regular mechanical keyboard. The included keycaps all have the same profile. They are almost flat and don't feature an angle like normal keycaps do. And although they have pretty much the same footprint as normal keycaps, the surface is much larger, so they feel a bit different on that part. And the flatter profile combined with the larger surface makes these a little hard to get used to. I was able to regain most of my usual typing speed, but it took me a few days, and typing on regular keycaps still feels a bit more natural. Also, the fact that the keys are almost perfectly flat makes it a bit harder to know where your fingers are on the board. So although they look really clean like that, I do think it's a bit harder to type with these. Finally, these keycaps are ABS with laser etched legends. PBT would be preferable in that case, and being ABS, they will probably shine over time. Also, the laser etching seems to go over the keycap sockets sometimes, so the backlight is not always even throughout the lettering. Not that big of a deal, but still worth noting, I think. This keyboard also comes with pretty interesting switches. These are the cherry low profile switches, reds in that case. In fact, it's only available with reds for now, I think, although I would have preferred browns. I'm not really a fan of red switches in general, so I don't like these low profile red switches that much. In fact, with the large surface area of the keycaps, when you hit them on the sides, it feels like it's not going down as well as when you do it in the center. So the operating force feels a bit unpredictable as you type, something I didn't like too much. I would like to have this keyboard in a tactile or clicky variety of switches, so I hope this is something Cooler Master plans on releasing in the future. Another downside are the stabilizers. Although they feel great overall and are not too rattly, they're proprietary from what I understand, so although the switches fit normal keycaps and the layout respect the ANSI standard, you won't be able to replace the keycaps that have stabilizers with third-party ones. I feel like this is a bit of a missed opportunity as replacing the keycaps would allow PBT ones, a slight angle between the rows for those who want one, and an overall better typing experience for anyone that's used to a regular mechanical keyboard. This keyboard has basic onboard controls to configure it, but you will need the software to go in depth. As for the onboard controls, the instructions are not super detailed, but basically the advanced functions are accessible with the Cooler Master logo key. You can either change the LED lights and access media keys. However, you cannot remap keys directly on the keyboard. So we'll take a look at the software to see what we can do. So you need Cooler Master's portal, and then it will install the proper software for the keyboard. With it, you get plenty of built-in light effects and animations, but you can also set key-by-key colors. You can also record macros, and it seemed to work fine. Finally, you can remap the keys as you wish, always a nice addition, and you can store multiple profiles that are accessible with a keyboard shortcut. So overall, it's pretty complete, although it doesn't have any cloud sync feature, but since the profiles are stored on board, it's not as necessary. Typing on this keyboard is pretty special. It feels pretty much like a mechanical keyboard with laptop keys, and it is in fact pretty much that as well. I wouldn't say that I enjoy typing on this keyboard, although I think it would be fine for gaming, especially since it has red switches. But again, for typing, not exactly the best, and I think the keycaps are also a big part of the equation. It's a bit hard to tell where your fingers are on the board, and the lack of proper concave surface doesn't help either. So that leads us to the pros and cons, starting with the cons. The typing experience is a bit weird having keycaps that are almost flat and larger than usual. The non-existent unique keycap profile for every row doesn't help either for that. You don't get any flip-out feet, so no angle adjustment whatsoever. The keycaps are ABS, so they will shine over time and they show dirt a bit more easily. And the laser-etched legends will also disappear over time as the black dye wears off. But the biggest downside to me is the fact that the stabilizers are not standard, so you can't replace the keycaps, and that would fix a few of the issues I had with the keyboard while still keeping a lower profile than usual with the low profile switches. And finally, it's a pretty expensive keyboard at $140 US. Now to the good part. I really like the design, it looks super sleek. The build quality is great with the brushed aluminum plate as well as the bottom of the case to the cable. Everything feels well built. I also like that they use a Type-C cable. The keyboard is quite customizable both in terms of RGB LEDs, key remapping and macros. And finally, the LEDs shine bright and are really vibrant, which is great for a keyboard that doesn't have a white plate. So that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. Again, I don't think this is a bad keyboard overall. I think the biggest advantage with this keyboard is how it looks. The design looks really good, but it doesn't give an exceptional typing experience in return. So I think that's how you should base your purchase decision if you're considering this keyboard. So I'll have a link down below if you want to check it out for yourself, and as always, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video if you did, and if you didn't, just let me know why in the comments below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe if you still haven't already, as I'll see you in the next video.